A measure to provide free preschool for all 3- and 4-year-olds in Multnomah County, which includes Portland, is on the ballot right now.
Outlined in the voters' pamphlet, ballot measure 26214 promises high-quality tuition-free preschool for all children who are 3 and 4 years old, up to 6 hours per day.
It is by taxing the rich, and over 92% of us will not get affected by this in any way. This is something that is sustainable. This is something that we would be funding fully.
Sahar Maranovich is a David Douglas School Board member and part of the Universal Preschool Coalition, which gathered 32,000 signatures to get the Preschool for All measure on the ballot. If the ballot measure passes, preschool teachers and assistants would be paid a minimum of just under $20 an hour.
One important aspect of this story is how laying groundwork and sticking with these issues to see them through is how you make change. It doesn't happen overnight. Organizers never would have gotten on the ballot this year if they just started working on it in March.
A community budget forum hosted by the city of Portland was packed with people voicing their concerns.
To say we should even cut 1 penny from our budget in a time when Portland is wealthier than ever is an outrage. There are over 1,000 households in Multnomah County that reported incomes of over $1 million per year. Our mayor is one of them, bringing in roughly $1.5 million. $1.5 million a year.
Members of the Portland chapter of Democratic Socialists are there to express their concerns about program cuts.
They saw the people here who are tired of having to come here year after year and beg for their programs not to be cut, and services that people depend on being pitted against each other. People are saying enough is enough.
We don't have to do the song and dance every year. We don't have to settle for a trickle-down economy that doesn't work.
I'm very in support of revenue increase. The idea that's been introduced of an income tax of starting with 2% on incomes for 250,000 individuals, $500K a year for a joint.
I'm not opposed to taxing the rich.
This is my 10th year on the council. I don't believe we can continue to cut and cut and cut. And we cut during the recession, every year asking for the exercise of cuts.
There are over 100 people outside locked out on the only night they get to voice their opposition to cuts, to services, to preschools, to things that are vitally important to their life. So I ask those in attendance, are you tired of having to beg every year to maintain your basic services?
And this is the first time that the Portland chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America has tried to get anything on the ballot. And they did it with the support of a broad coalition. Labor unions, education, and community organizations were all involved.
That's why Portland Association of Teachers is proud to support this ballot measure. We're excited to be gathering signatures.
I'm also proud that Jobs with Justice has endorsed this ballot measure, and we'll work hard to make sure it gets on the ballot. And
Universal Preschool is an extremely important opportunity.
They actually lost a bunch of time to gather signatures due to legal challenges, so they had a very small window, I think it was around a month, during a pandemic to get 22,000 signatures.
Wow.
Many people thought it wouldn't be possible, understandably. But they didn't give up. They had highly motivated and creative volunteers. One of their strategies was to get people to sign at the nightly Black Lives Matter protests. I'm sure listeners are aware that there have been a lot of protests in Portland this year.
People in the streets since the murder of George Floyd have been calling for defunding the police. And we say that because it's not just a negative strategy, but it's saying, let's take money out of these places where they're being put for these militaristic and violent aims and put it into places where we can actually answer the question of what creates safety and welfare, providing safe, joyful educational spaces for our children and a workforce that has their basic needs met and are treated as being as fundamental as they are.
94% of preschool workers are women. 40% are women of color. This is skilled work. It is hard work.
And they actually gathered 32,000 signatures, more than enough to get the measure on the ballot.
You said it, you've done this amidst a global pandemic and also a later start than maybe some of the other ballot initiatives. How did you get it done?
It's just been a remarkable groundswell, upsurge of a volunteer effort. So many people connect with this issue. Over 600 people ended up circulating petitions, and a lot of people doing the kind of thing where they had a table at the end of their driveway if they had a fair amount of foot traffic, and sitting on their front steps and watching their kids in the front yard and speaking with passersby who signed.
Wow.
Before the pandemic, two different groups, Preschool for All and Up Now, had been building coalitions and working to get pre-K on the ballot and in front of voters for the 2020 election.
Universal Preschool Now is the one that's maybe twice as big, covers more kids, more dough. The one happening inside the county, that is Preschool for All, and that is the one that you would argue at this point might not be Preschool for All, would be Preschool for some more.
Exactly. The main difference is how many kids they plan to cover.
It's pretty exciting that there were so much enthusiasm and support for Universal Preschool that there were two separate efforts really working hard to get it there. So we wanted all the efforts to be positive for preschool that we were doing.
And what was the breakthrough that helped you end up joining forces?
One of those was getting to Universal with a single vote. And that was something that Universal Preschool Now had as a part of their plan from the beginning. And it was also, something that was important to some of my colleagues on the county commission as I was asking them to refer this to the ballot to do that. So we were able to change the revenue mechanism to have a bump in 2026 to make sure that we would get to full universal in one vote. And then the other thing was that the teachers of our children in preschool were going to have a living wage.
Childcare workers are more likely to live in poverty than those in other professions and are among the country's lowest paid workers.
I've had colleagues who cannot afford to enroll their own children in the preschool they work at because tuition is too high and wages are too low. Many of us have relied on a combination of food stamps and eating whatever leftovers there are in the preschool kitchen fridge at the end of the day.
What does this mean for childcare workers who are often forgotten in discussions about access to care and
in discussions around education, around the importance of education, and the teacher is just kind of assumed to be there, and we're expected to kind of carry this huge social, emotional, academic, physical burden of taking care of children who deserve all of the care we can provide them, and yet are barely paid and often not paid enough to have those same supports in our own lives.
So we are entrusting childcare workers with that which we say is the most valuable, our kids' health and safety, but somehow we can't pay them a living wage.
Right.
Do you think rich people should pay for it?
Hell yeah.
I think it's really important to have so many different people in the community involved because it affects the whole community. Like, that is the whole idea. It's not just about, we need to do something nice for parents with young children. It's about so much more than that.
Hi, we are so proud to introduce ourselves as the Growing Seeds Workers Union.
As the Growing Seeds Workers Union.
The biggest benefit that people will see for childcare workers through Preschool for All is that preschool teachers will get pay parity with kindergarten teachers in the county, and that assistant teachers or assistant staff in preschools will receive an $18 an hour wage. That is a significant improvement from where we're at now.
Childcare has been a huge thing ever since the pandemic really hit, and so that, I think, worked really in the Preschool for All campaign's favor because, who isn't thinking about where our 3- and 4-year-old kids could and should be while we're all working from home?
Big wins tonight for schools and libraries.
Universal Preschool given a big thumbs up by voters in Multnomah County.
Preschool for All, it's 64% yes. So first, let me hear from you. What are you feeling?
Oh, I am so excited, y'all. This measure just shows, people power truly in action. Like, we're dealing with a pandemic. We are having an important civil rights uprising. We had the fires for a while.
I'm so proud of the campaign you all ran, not only in just its content, but also its fun. Like, you all just had a fun campaign and you were positive, and it was something that brought me joy seeing you all go out there, especially that 33,000 signatures during a pandemic. Incredibly impressive. So congrats on that.
It's true, the spark of the campaign just ignited community's enthusiasm and getting involved. What all could we do together in order to address inequities and bring about systemic change? Everybody was involved: parents, caregivers, preschool workers, small businesses, elected officials, everyone and their mother. So I'm stoked.